Okay. All right, so we are recording now. I think we can go ahead. Should we go ahead and get started? Yeah, let's get started.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is.
Oh, let me introduce. I'm
There
sorry.
we go. I wasn't sure.
Welcome,
That was
everyone.
like, okay.
This is Vicky. I'm like, this is Vicky because she's on that side of me. And she actually worked at Lumen when I first started in home visiting. Since then, she's done all kinds of other things, including getting her master's and her doctorate. So Vicky has a lot of experience in EDI type things. I can't say specifically, I just know from our many conversations. So I will let her take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Molly. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. One of my favorite things in life was being a parent educator. I just love that. And one of my daughters, who actually got her master's at Harvard, and one of my grandsons went to East Dallas Community School. So I've got some deep and long-standing connections to both East Dallas Community School, and I like to put that plug in, right? So there's a graduate from East Dallas Community School who's now got her master's from Harvard. Yes, like Molly said, since leaving Lumen, Bachman, and East Dallas Community School, I went on to Texas A&M and got a PhD. And it was a beautiful, difficult journey. I was not expecting it to be so difficult. So one of the things I learned quite a bit about was anti-racism education. And that's primarily what this presentation is going to be about. So I will share my screen with you all, and we're going to get started. So I love this quote. I'm a quote person. Unlearning thousands of years of conditioning. So think about how we've been conditioned, but truly that's something that I've. All right. If I have technical issues, forgive me. I want you to just take your today. Maybe put it in the which number are you? And this is just a way for you all to do a moment of reflection and through the chat how you're doing today. So I'll just give you a couple of seconds to identify and put that in there. I got to find my chat.
It's at the top of your, probably at the top.
I know it's not. All right. So anything that anyone notices from there? I see a 6, 7, 2, 5, couple of 5s, and 8. Yes, I would say I'm in that 8 category too. But we see we're in all different kinds of spaces, but it's good to just take that second to reflect and also share where we're at. I do love that 4 though, with that little watermelon top. All right, so I'm just going to quickly go over the objectives. Exploring our biases is one of the most important things as educators that we need to do, and it doesn't happen. I'm going to share my personal journey to face my bias. I am this person right here with my mouth wide open. And I know it's hilarious. I grew up Jewish in Savannah, Georgia. This is the early 60s. And it took me going to graduate school to recognize that this was Mrs. Rubinitz and this was Mrs. Blumenthal. And back here was a teacher's assistant named Maddie. And as children, we always called Maddie, Maddie. And in fact, my mother wrote her here, Maddie. It took me years, like more than 50 years, to recognize that as a young child, I was taught that the assistant, the only woman of color, the only Black woman in the room, we were not taught to call her Miss Maddie. I've never known her last name. My mother didn't either. And this is a very subtle but important way to think about this. This is how biases, prejudices, and racism are very subtly taught, and we're not even aware of it. It's a very painful truth I've had to admit to myself. I'm going to say this journey lifelong, and I'm still on. So I'm just sharing some things I've learned with you all. So this to me is an amazing, amazing video, if I can get it to show to you all. So it was done at Yale by some professors who specifically were interested in preschool educators. And can you all see this guy right here? Can you give me a thumbs up? Yes, okay, let's see, 2-minute video.
I had to read a few times just to believe what it was telling me. The researchers recruited about 135 preschool teachers. They had them watch video footage of 4 kids playing, a Black boy, a Black girl, a white boy, and a white girl. And they told the teachers, their subjects, watch the video, there may be some challenging behaviors. As soon as you see something that could become challenging, hit the enter key on your keypad. Well, here's the trick. There was no challenging behavior. The researchers were using eye scan technology to see which child the teachers were looking at the most. And what they found is that the teachers, both white and Black alike, spent the most time watching the Black boy, waiting for.
Sorry for that.
Behavior that never came. There's one more really interesting headline in this study, which comes later. The teachers were also given a 1-paragraph description to read of a hypothetical child with a stereotypical name who behaves pretty badly in class, pushes, scratches, throws toys. And some of the teachers were also given some biographical information that helped make sense of that behavior. They were told that the child lives with his mother, father has been in and out for years, they're relatively poor, the mother is depressed, works 3 jobs. Researchers wanted to know if knowing this information made the teachers more empathetic to the kid. Well, here's the shock. It did, but only if the teacher and the child were of the same race. If the teacher and the child, a white teacher and a Black child, or even a Black teacher and a white child, knowing that biographical information, those teachers were less empathetic towards those students. And here's why this matters. Imagine if this is true, if there's this empathy deficit in preschool, well, imagine where else that's true.
Okay. That was a lot, huh? I'm not sure if you were aware of that study, but we all know about this eye technology, right? From being in Zoom, we see people's eyes move from screen to screen, and that's the technology that they used to find this out. So for me, it became very clear we as a society must face and address these hidden biases that we're not even aware we have. So I'm going to give you one more example before we do an activity. You know, as a child, I can remember this activity, right? Circle, circle, square. And what did teachers mostly ask me, maybe us? Which one is what? Is different? Which one doesn't belong, right? And so then you circle it. Have been hardwired to notice differences in what does not belong. Imagine if teachers had said, put these 3 shapes together and create as many amazing and interesting shapes that you can. Maybe students would create, or a car, right? But no, that was never done. It was focus on what doesn't belong. It's different. So again, it showed me about how much unlearning has to happen for way back. All right, for this, we're going to move into our activity. You can hopefully consider some things about yourself. And the Privilege Bees activity, you may have seen something like this. I know for years it was done with the privilege activity where take a step forward and take a step back if you've got two parents in your home. But that always made me uncomfortable because I thought, why should some people learn a lesson at the expense of other people, right? Because it was the other back. They're like, great, now everybody gets to see how messed up my life has been, right? And I always thought there was something inherently respectful about that. So I found this activity, and this is the way it's going. I want you to answer the following questions exactly as you present to the world. Consider your race, ethnicity, sexuality, physical abilities, class. And I don't want you to overthink this. You're going to just take a paper clip and bead for every yes following questions. There are slides. So I'm going to go through the activity with you. And so then at a certain point, I'll just give 10 seconds and we'll move to the next slide. All right, everybody ready?
Wait a minute, Vicki, let me just say this, in case anybody just entered the presentation, you want to have either a handful of paper clips or beans or beads, or you can even take a piece of paper and tear it up into a bunch of little pieces, maybe 30, 40 different pieces. So just make sure you have that on hand to do this activity. That's what she's talking about when she's talking about the pieces.
Yeah, and if all else fails, you can do, remember how you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can do those little stick counting things and it will accomplish the same goal. I think it's just more impactful if you have. Okay, let's go. And this is going to be some quiet time to just reflect, and for every yes, you take or make a mark. All right, guys, I'm going to give you another 20 seconds and we're going to move to the next slide. Okay, next slide. Same thing, read each one and take a coin or paper clip for what is yes. All right. 10 cents. Can y'all show me with the thumbs up if you're done? Yep. Then let's go to the next. Same thing, take one object for every yes. right, about 10 seconds. And can you not really just show me if you're done? Thank you. And then next one. All right, so at this point, guessing everyone's finished. And I want you to notice what your pile looks like in front of you, right? And we're gonna do a slight shift now. This is when, oops, I forgot one. We got one more, guys. I hope you have enough coins or objects or paper clips for one more. Let's do this one last one on nationality and citizenship. All right. Well, to be honest, I ran out of objects, right? That's just me. But anyway, we're going to go on to the next phase of this. And I'm going to say this, when I taught at Texas A&M, I had a student and she did some work with me and we did a presentation similar to this. This was BC before COVID and it was face-to-face in Houston. And she came up with the idea. So this is actually Alexis Williams' idea, but it's brilliant. And that is to create an avatar. And this is when I want you to take notes. Create someone in your mind who has got a different class. Write down what this person would be. If you're a woman, maybe this would be a man, but they're from a different class, a different kind of physical ability, different racial ethnic group, a different sexuality, maybe, you know, transgender, maybe bi, maybe someone on the call is gay. They're, you know, people present themselves differently within even the gay community. And then also national, you know, status. So write down what this person in those areas, your opposite. Nobody's ever going to see what you write. So just make sure you cover status, legal status in US, income, race, or ethnic group, ability, and sexuality. And even you could change the gender too. Right, guys, we're gonna, if you have run out of coins, just take a mental image of how many coins you have in that one stack. We're gonna go through the same set of questions as if you were this person that you've written down as your avatar. All right, everybody ready? Can y'all let me know? Shake of the head or thumb. Good. All right. Here we. We need about 10 more seconds, or are we good? We're good? Okay. Let's move to the next slide. Ability privilege. All right, are we ready to move on to the next one? Yes? All right, let's do it. We good to move on? Okay, see a couple of head noddings about class. All right, and let's look at the last slide. All right. So what I would like us to do now is, if it's okay and I can do it, Molly, is put us into breakout rooms of about 4 people and just randomly assign you all. And I want you all in smaller groups to process what this activity was like for you all, what it showed you, what it helped you understand, what it made you think, how you felt like physically. Do you are you having some kind of visceral all this? So is that okay with everybody? We get into small groups for just a few minutes? Yes? Okay. Let me see. But
Do you want me to do it? I can do that.
I think I've got it. There'll be
Okay.
about 8 groups, right? That'll be about 7 groups, right? And then I think you can just go on and join. Yeah, you might just be in a group with one other person, but I think that's okay. The point of this is to have a robust discussion. And I think that'll happen in a smaller group. All right, I'm going to open all the rooms and feel free to. Just about 10 minutes. Was it you, Molly? It might be you and me in this room with Elva, Selena, and Deanna, but that's fine. So what was this like for you, Molly?
I didn't think it was very fun, Vicky. It kind of sucked. I was like, wow.
When I talked about the visceral reaction, I'm like, why does my stomach feel so tied in knots right this moment? Yeah, so you want to elaborate on that?
I mean, it was interesting to try and put together this individual, and I actually had to, I made it a man. So, and he was definitely not in the best situation. And at first I noticed that his clothes were not very clean. And I was like, he doesn't need to have dirty clothes. He can dress very respectfully. So I put him in nice clothes. He was a very proper, respectful person from a different country. And it was hard every which way I turned. It was like, I actually had him come from another country where his family did own their own home. It was good. Things went bad and he had to get out of there. I really did put it all through. So it's like he came from a good situation that went bad. So he grew up with this really, like he was respected, but it was a different country. And now he's here and it was hard.
Yeah. Well, how about you, Heidi? What was that experience like for you? Oh, you're muted. Yeah, that's okay. At the bottom left, I think. Yeah.
My group didn't have anybody in it, so that's why I
Oh,
came
but
back.
we're glad you joined. It's fine. I'm glad you're here.
I thought it was really interesting. I used all my coins on the first go round and used maybe a quarter of them on the second go around. So that was really interesting. I mean, I guess it wasn't all that surprising, but it was disconcerting nevertheless.
Yeah.
To know how much privilege I walk around with, despite my own issues. When it comes to the whole package, I have a lot of privilege. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, when Vicky and I first started talking, I was like, that kind of sucked. That wasn't fun. I didn't love that.
Right.
Yeah, I guess for me, one of the things about challenging our hidden biases is to develop empathy, which is really hard to do. Right. And so, like, I usually do literally physically have a visceral reaction with this. Like, I feel it. It's like, oh my gosh, to walk in the world as this human who's definitely out there that I've just kind of invented, right? It's not easy. It is not easy.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
Diana or Selena, are you there? Do you have something to add? Maybe not.
Evidently not.
I guess the question for is, so where do we go from here? What do we do with this information, with this knowledge? What do we do with it?
Yeah, I love that that's the next step. That'll feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. What that, and so for me, what does all this information presented today? What then can we do with it to make any kind of meaningful shifts in our own lives and immediate environment? What can we do? So it's one thing to know this and to acknowledge it and to recognize it, but question for me is, so now what? And that's my question.
Yeah, one of the things so for me, having gone through this, it's like I really don't want to re-experience that. I don't really want to think about it a lot because it was unpleasant. So using that information in a useful way right now is probably the best thing I can do with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, welcome back, everyone. Would anyone like to unmute yourselves and share what emerged for you and or the person you were in your room with about what that experience is like? Please just feel free to unmute yourself.
I can go since go. Who's it? Go, Olga.
I say Olga Voltai. You can go, Ruthie. And go
ahead.
after you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Okay. Yeah, I was a partner with Will, and I was yeah, just tell him that I had this activity in the past, and there was just a little different. The yes in that case was give it a step forward. There was a no give and a step backward. So when I finished the activity, I was far behind the white people. In the class, and I tell him like, yeah, in this activity, like I get like the half of the points. Being me, I have my ideal avatar. Oh, I pass everything. I have all the points, like in the ideal world, but unfortunately, that's not the case. And I comment with him like being the same like you, Vicky. I learned a lot of discrimination in my master classes when I really opened my eyes. I thought there was no discrimination. At least I told myself I never see discrimination. Everything was for me blind. I never thought about all these things. When I took some of the classes about this diversity and all that is when I really start opening my eyes in my master's classes and knowing everything about the microaggressions that I was like, oh, never I thought like, yeah, made me think and made me wonder these behaviors that before I don't talk about it. And then also I was commenting with Will, like I thought like maybe I came from a country that is on discrimination, but as we Bachman start with the passporters, they are having more information about all their different countries. That really opened my eyes. Like we came in the Latin America countries that they just have a lot of races that is not very open, like in this country here, but it's really a lot of discrimination on those countries, and we be teaching the same things. Even we are darker color, there is more people of darker color in other Latin America countries, and they still, we can see it. Even we are more brown people and it's still discrimination, even there's not a lot of white people in Central America or South America countries. So, I mean, it's just what it is. I mean, you don't really thinking you are really, I mean, maybe I was, like I say, I was blind all this time and come here to this country until a few years ago in my master classes. So this is really what it is. So that's my comment, Vicky. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Olga, for sharing and being very honest about all that. Yes, Ruthie, did you want to share something?
Well, I think the experience, I also had done it in different ways, but this is like the visual, it kills you, no? My avatar was completely opposite as me. A Black Christian gay male homeless drug addict from Uganda that didn't finish high school in a wheelchair. That poor guy did not get one single bead, you know? And when we were talking, I got Vero in my room. She's like, and how many people are like that? It's like, it's so all the guys that you see on your way to work, you know, and they're sitting in the median, or and also while doing the activity, I was reflecting on the families we serve. And when I explain our work to outside people, I always explain like we Head Start, no, especially, and because of the funds they give or whatever, but parent education, we are trying to help these children that have 0 beads to get enough beads, because in the future they're going to compete with all these privileged people that have the beads, and that's not fair. So it is just, to me, like sometimes when we're sitting and thinking like, oh my God, these parents are not giving us the health records, right, that we need because it's a requirement. Yeah, they're afraid to get out of their house, you know. So yeah, I could go on all day, Vicky, so that's all I wanted to share.
No, thank you, Ruthie. I think you all are totally on the front lines of this. And the point of this activity is, you know, my thing is that a beautiful pearl comes from a grain of sand in an oyster. It's an irritant, right? The grain of sand, irritant from which a pearl grows. And so sometimes we have to have that internal irritant, like an activity like this, to force us to think about, well, what is the story of that family that's not giving me the health records? Or what is the story of that person on the median there every day? Or, you know, so it's the question I posed earlier though, is so what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do with this kind of feeling or this information? And so I know we are almost out of time, and I just want to finish up. Let's see, Kevin, oh, there we go. Okay. So let's see. The other thing to think about is doing the activity twice. Did anything happen? And we talked briefly about that. And I just want to talk about this term again, grateful for my experience, knowledge, funds of knowledge, right? So we have funds, right, to go to the store, maybe we have saving funds. There's might be a capital fund for school, but funds of knowledge consists of the knowledge families have that are untapped, right? There's a whole lot of knowledge in the communities that you all serve that sometimes we're so focused on following the curriculum that we don't allow space to honor and respect what can the family contribute, so they can feel that respect and that pride of being part of their child's education. So I just want you to think about that. This word that's connected to all this bias and privilege. And you don't have to be white to feel this way, but it's called white guilt or white savior mentality, right? So the white mentality is like, well, I've got all this privilege, so I'm just going to go out and save people who are less privileged than me. because I have all this privilege. And there's there is arrogance to that. Have to check and look at. And one way to do that is to honor the funds of knowledge of those people with whom they lift their knowledge, and not just say, well, this is the way we, yes, we're, like Ruthie was saying, trying to support these students to be successful in our society. Simultaneously, it's important for the students to feel pride and great joy in their heritage, and not just that we serve to assimilate and to a society that may or may not uplift their heritage. So I just want to end with this notion that we've got to dig deep to understand how racism has impacted the way we see ourselves and others. And again, this is a lifelong struggle. It's uncomfortable, because the share, even if you're from a Central American or Latin, there's a whole, it's colorism, right? So a lot of times people say, oh, I love everybody, I don't see color. Well, that's not respectful either, right? Because part of who we are is how we present the world. So finally, to think that every plant has their own requirements in order to grow. You just can't go around to give all the same amount of water and light, right? But so do people, right? And so thinking about that is important. And ultimately, it's important that we let go of our egos and just focus on nurturing each child. And you all are the experts at that. I totally believe that and have great confidence in that. So at this point, if there are any questions or comments, this will be a great opportunity to talk about anything that any of you all want to share, or thoughts or suggestions or ideas.
I think we're at time, so everyone's like, okay, that was great. And I really enjoyed it, Vicki. It definitely opened my eyes, and it definitely put that discomfort in me that I hope I can polish to a pearl.
Yeah. Well, you all will. That's what's wonderful. Y'all are having these gatherings, because that is how, honestly looking in the mirror, honestly talking about these uncomfortable things and having those courageous conversations. So I know how time sensitive we all are. That's part of capitalism and being, that time is money. Really, time is not money. But I also do want to respect your time and honor it, and authentically thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here with you.
Thanks so much, Vicki. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Hi, Priscilla. Yeah. Well, good to see all of you. It's been so long, and I just really appreciate y'all and the work you do.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Miss Vicki. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. This was
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Care.